What if I told you that every single breath you take is a secret message to the universe? What if your breathing could decide if your day is full of peace or full of stress? Would you believe me? This is the beginning of Daniel's story. And it is also the beginning of your journey to learn English through story, emotion, and discovery. Daniel was a young man, only 22 years old. He lived in a busy city, full of noise, traffic, and people always in a hurry. Every night he tried to sleep, but his mind was full of thoughts. Did I say the wrong thing to my friend today? What if I fail my exam tomorrow? Why does my chest feel so heavy? He turned left. He turned right. The clock showed 3 a.m. His breath was fast and shallow. In English, we call this kind of breathing shallow breathing. Shallow is not deep. Breathing is the act of taking air in and out. Daniel was breathing shallowly, only in his chest, not in his belly. His body was alive, but his mind felt tired. The next morning, Daniel walked to university. On the way, he passed by an old street he usually ignored. That day, something caught his eye. A small bookshop, hidden between 2 tall buildings. The shop looked ancient, with wooden doors and dusty windows. A sign above the door read, "The Breath House, Books of Stillness." Daniel stopped. He didn't know why, but something pulled him inside. The shop smelled of paper and wood. Old lamps gave a golden light. Rows of books stretched to the ceiling. Behind the counter, an old man with white hair and calm eyes was sitting silently. "Welcome," the old man said softly. "You look tired, young traveller." Daniel was surprised. "Me? Tired? I didn't sleep well." The old man smiled. "Your breath tells me everything." Daniel frowned. "My breath? What do you mean?" The man stood up slowly and walked closer. He wore a long grey coat, and his steps were silent, like he was walking on clouds. "Listen carefully," the man said. "Breath is not only about staying alive. Breath is about becoming alive. Your shallow breathing is writing fear into your life." Daniel blinked. "Writing fear? How?" The man pointed at Daniel's chest. "When you breathe quickly and shallowly, your body feels unsafe. Your mind feels anxious. Every person near you can feel that. Even the universe can feel that. Each breath is like a word, and your reality is the book you are writing." Daniel felt confused, but also curious. "Are you saying I can change my life with my breath?" The old man's eyes sparkled. "Yes, but first you must learn to observe, to watch, to become the observer of your own breath." The man gave Daniel a small notebook. On the first page, written in careful handwriting, were these words: "Observe your breath. Do not change it. Do not control it. Just watch." Daniel read the sentence again and again. "Observe my breath," he whispered. The old man nodded. "Come back after 3 days. Write everything you notice in this notebook. Write when your breath is fast. Write when it is slow. Write how you feel. This is your first lesson. Daniel wanted to ask more questions, but when he looked up, the old man was already walking back to his chair. He sat down, closed his eyes, and breathed slowly, deeply, peacefully. The shop felt different now, like time had slowed down. Daniel left the shop with the notebook in his hand. The world outside was still noisy. Cars honked, people shouted, phones rang. But Daniel's attention was on something new, his own breath. That night, Daniel sat on his bed with the notebook. He closed his eyes and tried to observe his breath. At first, it felt strange. His breath was quick. His chest moved up and down. His thoughts kept interrupting. This is silly. Am I doing this right? Nothing is changing. But then he remembered the old man's words. Do not control it. Do not change it. Just watch. So Daniel watched. He noticed that when he thought about exams, his breath became faster. When he remembered a happy memory of his friend, his breath slowed down. For the first time, he saw the connection. Thoughts and breath were dancing together. 3 days passed quickly. Daniel carried the notebook everywhere. On the bus, he wrote, breath fast when crowded. In the library, he wrote, breath calm when silent. At lunch, he wrote, breath heavy when worried. When he returned to the bookshop, he felt both nervous and excited. The old man asked, what did you discover? Daniel opened the notebook. I discovered that my breath changes all the time. When I'm stressed, it's short. When I'm calm, it's deep. The old man nodded. Good. You have taken the first step. You are beginning to see that your breath doesn't just reflect your feelings, it creates them. Daniel's eyes widened. So, if I change my breath, I can change my feelings? The old man smiled mysteriously. Soon you will see. But first, you must learn the power of the observer breath. Here are some useful words from this part of the story. Shallow breathing. Breathing that is not deep, only in the chest. Observe. To watch carefully. Notebook. A small book for writing notes. Anxious. Worried or nervous. Peaceful. Calm without stress. Mysterious. Something strange, secret, or difficult to explain. That night, Daniel lay in bed again. The clock still showed late hours. His mind still had many thoughts. But now there was something new inside him. He whispered to himself, observe the breath, just watch. And for the first time in many months, Daniel felt a small seed of peace growing in his chest. This was only the beginning of his journey. The next morning, Daniel couldn't stop thinking about the old man's words. Breath doesn't just reflect your feelings, it creates them. He walked again to the little bookshop, the breath house. The same golden light shone through the dusty windows. The same silence greeted him. The old man was waiting, sitting behind the wooden counter. His eyes seemed brighter as if they were smiling before his lips even moved. "Welcome back, young traveller," he said. "Tell me, Daniel, are you ready to learn the second lesson?" Daniel nodded quickly. "Yes, please, I want to understand." The old man took a small glass of water and placed it on the counter. The water was still and clear. "Look," he said. "This is your natural state. Calm, clear, peaceful." Then he tapped the side of the glass with a spoon. The water began to shake. "This is your state when your breath is shallow and anxious. Every thought, every worry shakes the water inside you. Your reality becomes full of ripples. Do you see?" Daniel stared at the water. "Yes, it looks disturbed." The old man stopped tapping. Slowly, the water became still again. This is what happens when your breath is slow and deep. Peace returns. The water reflects the world around it perfectly, like a mirror. Daniel leaned forward. "So you're saying my breath changes how I feel inside, but does it also change the world outside?" The old man's voice became lower, almost like a secret. "Yes, every breath is a message. When you breathe with fear, you send fear into the world around you. When you breathe with peace, you send peace." Daniel's eyes widened. "You mean other people can feel it?" "Of course," the old man said. "Have you ever entered a room and felt tension before anyone spoke? That is breath. Have you ever felt calm when someone peaceful sat beside you? That is breath. Your breathing creates an invisible field around you, 8 feet in every direction." Daniel shivered. He remembered moments like that. Times when his mother's stress made him anxious, even when she said nothing. Times when sitting next to his calm friend made him relax instantly. "So, my breath is not just mine," Daniel whispered. The old man nodded. "Exactly. It is a gift you give to the world." "Now," the old man said, "we practice. Sit." Daniel sat on a wooden chair. The old man placed his hand gently on Daniel's stomach. "Most people breathe only here," the man said, touching Daniel's chest. "Fast, shallow, survival breathing. But true life comes from here." He tapped Daniel's belly, deep inside. "Close your eyes. Breathe in slowly through your nose. Feel your stomach rise like a balloon. Now exhale slowly through your mouth. Let the balloon deflate." Daniel tried. His shoulders tensed. His chest moved, but his stomach hardly rose. "Relax," the old man whispered. "Do not force. Do not control. Imagine you are pouring water gently into a jar. Slow, steady, gentle." Daniel tried again. This time, his stomach lifted slightly. The air felt cooler, smoother. His exhale was long, soft, like a sigh. "Good," the man said. Again. Inhale, belly rises. Exhale, belly falls. For the first time, Daniel felt his body soften. His racing thoughts slowed. A strange warmth filled his chest. For the first time, Daniel felt his body soften. His racing thoughts slowed. A strange warmth filled his chest. Minutes passed. Daniel didn't know how long. When he opened his eyes, the world looked different. The colours of the bookshop seemed brighter. The silence felt deeper. The old man smiled. "Do you notice?" Daniel nodded slowly. "Everything feels lighter, clearer, like I woke up from a dream." The old man touched his shoulder. "That is the power of breath. 1 minute of deep breathing can change your reality. But most people waste 23,000 breaths every day without awareness. You are beginning to wake up." Daniel whispered to himself. "Inhale, belly rises. Exhale, belly falls." The rhythm felt like music. The old man handed Daniel another page from the notebook. On it were simple English phrases. Take a deep breath. Breathe in slowly. Breathe out gently. Calm down. I feel peaceful. My chest is tight. My belly rises. Practice these phrases, the man said. Say them while you breathe. Language and breath will become one. Daniel repeated aloud. Take a deep breath. Inhale. Breathe out gently. Exhale. I feel peaceful. Smile. Each phrase felt more real because his body was living the words. When Daniel left the shop, the city was the same. Cars honked, people hurried, phones rang. But Daniel was not the same. He walked slowly, breathing deeply. His belly rose, his belly fell. He whispered, Take a deep breath. I feel peaceful. A man bumped into him on the street and shouted angrily. Normally, Daniel would have shouted back, but this time he inhaled deeply, exhaled slowly. Instead of anger, he felt calm. He even smiled. The man looked confused and walked away. Daniel realized something powerful. He didn't need to fight the world. He only needed to change his breath. That night, Daniel lay in bed. The clock again showed late hours, but tonight, his breath was different. He put his hand on his stomach and whispered, Inhale, belly rises. Exhale, belly falls. Within minutes, his body relaxed. His thoughts slowed. Sleep came gently, like a soft blanket. For the first time in many months, Daniel slept peacefully. Here are more words and phrases from this part of the story. Exhale, to breathe out. Inhale, to breathe in. Stomach, belly, the front part of your body, below the chest. Survival breathing, fast, shallow breathing when stressed. Field, an invisible area around something. Peaceful, calm without worry. Rhythm, a regular repeating pattern. Daniel wrote in his notebook before sleeping. When I breathe shallow, I feel anxious. When I breathe deep, I feel peaceful. My breath is not just mine, it touches the world. He closed the notebook and smiled in the dark. Something inside him had shifted. He didn't know exactly where this journey was leading. But he knew one thing. Every breath was now a doorway, The next time Daniel entered the breath house, the old man was waiting with a different object on the table. A small river stone, smooth and grey. "Daniel," the man said, "today you will learn the most important secret. You are not your thoughts." Daniel blinked. "Not my thoughts? But my thoughts are me." The old man shook his head. "No, you are the observer of your thoughts. You are the one who watches them." He picked up the stone and dropped it into a bowl of water. Ripples spread across the surface. Each thought is like a stone dropped into the river of your mind. Some stones are heavy with fear. Some are light with joy. But you are not the stone. You are not even the water. You are the one sitting on the riverbank, watching the ripples. Daniel frowned, trying to understand. The old man continued, "Imagine the sky. Clear, blue, endless. Now imagine clouds drifting across it. Some are dark, stormy. Some are white, fluffy. Thoughts are like clouds. You are not the clouds. You are the sky." Daniel closed his eyes. He imagined the sky inside himself, huge, bright and open. His worries appeared like clouds. "I will fail my exam." That was a dark cloud. "My friend doesn't like me." Another dark cloud. "Maybe my life will never change." The storm grew. But then, behind all those clouds, the sky remained. Silent, wide, untouched. Daniel opened his eyes slowly. His chest felt lighter. "I think I understand," he whispered. "I am not the clouds. I am the sky." The old man gave him a new task. "Sit, Daniel. Close your eyes. Breathe. And now, watch your thoughts. Do not fight them. Do not follow them. Simply say to yourself, 'I see you.'" Daniel tried. At first, thoughts came quickly. "This is stupid. I can't do this. I should be studying." He wanted to push them away. But he remembered the instruction. Do not fight. Just observe. So he whispered softly, "I see you." The thoughts came. He watched them. They left. New ones came. He watched again. After a few minutes, something strange happened. A quiet space appeared between the thoughts. It was small, like a crack of light through a door. But it was there. Daniel felt calm, even powerful. "Now," said the old man, "watch your emotions in the same way. Anger, fear, joy, sadness. They are visitors. They knock at your door. But you do not have to invite them in. Just watch." Daniel remembered when a man shouted at him on the street. Normally, anger would have entered his body and stayed there all day. But what if he could simply observe it? What if anger was only a cloud? He smiled. "So I don't have to fight my emotions. I just have to watch them?" "Yes," the old man nodded. "Observation transforms them. When you watch with peace, the storm weakens. The cloud disappears." The old man handed Daniel another page in the notebook. On it were simple English sentences to practice. "I see my thoughts. I am not my thoughts. I am the observer. My mind is busy. I just watch. Emotions come, emotions go. I am the sky. Thoughts are clouds. Daniel read them slowly, breathing deeply after each line. His voice grew steady, almost like chanting. I see my thoughts. Inhale. I am not my thoughts. Exhale. I am the observer. Smile. He felt the truth inside the words. That evening, Daniel walked through the busy streets. Cars honked. People shouted into their phones. His head began to fill with noise. I hate this city. I am tired. Life is too hard. But instead of believing the thoughts, he whispered, I see you. And then he watched them drift away like clouds. The sky of his mind remained clear. For the first time, the city noise didn't control him. He walked calmly, like a mountain in the middle of a storm. That night, Daniel wrote in his notebook, I saw my thoughts today. They came and they left. When I said, I see you, I felt free. I am not my thoughts. I am the observer. He closed the notebook and placed it on his desk. A smile spread across his face. I never knew peace could be this simple, he whispered. That night, Daniel had a dream. He was standing beside a wide river. His thoughts were stones falling into the water, making ripples. But Daniel was no longer drowning in the river. He was sitting safely on the bank, watching the ripples fade into stillness. Above him, the sky stretched endless and blue. Clouds drifted slowly, but they didn't scare him. They couldn't touch the sky. When he woke, his heart was full of quiet joy. Here are some useful words and phrases from this part of the story. Ripples, small waves on water. Stormy, full of wind, rain, or trouble. Visitor, someone or something that comes but doesn't stay forever. Observer, the one who watches, not the one who reacts. A river, the land beside the river. Endless, without end. Daniel whispered to himself before sleeping, I am the sky. Thoughts are clouds. I am the observer. And for the first time, he truly believed it. He was no longer just a young man lost in his mind. He was the sky, wide and free. When Daniel entered the breath house again, he noticed something different. The old man was not sitting at the counter. Instead, he stood near a small wooden door at the back of the shop. Today, the old man said softly, we go deeper. Daniel followed him through the door. Behind it was a small, silent room. No books, no lamps, only a cushion on the floor and a single candle burning gently. This is the room of silence, the old man whispered. Here, you will learn about the gap between breaths. Daniel frowned. The gap? The old man nodded. Yes, the secret pause, the doorway between what was and what will be. Daniel sat on the cushion. The old man sat across from him. Close your eyes, the man instructed. Breathe in slowly. Breathe out gently. Now, notice what happens after you inhale and before you exhale. That short moment. Do not force it. Just notice it. Daniel inhaled deeply. His belly rose. Then, a pause. Just a tiny pause before the air flowed out again. He exhaled slowly. His belly fell. Then, another pause before the next inhale. Daniel whispered, "I feel it. It's like a small space." The old man smiled. "Yes, that space is the gap. It is the most powerful moment in your life. Most people rush past it. They never see it. But in that pause, reality listens." The old man continued, "Think of music. Without silence between the notes, there would only be noise. The silence creates the beauty. Your breath is the same. Without the gap, it is only movement. But with the gap, it becomes creation." Daniel imagined music without pauses. It would sound chaotic. Then he imagined gentle piano notes with silence between them. That silence made the music beautiful. So it was with his breath. The pause between inhale and exhale was not empty. It was sacred. Now, the old man said, "Enter the gap with your awareness. Do not push. Do not try. Just rest in the stillness." Daniel inhaled slowly. His belly rose. He reached the top of the breath and then paused. In that pause, everything became silent. His thoughts stopped. His body felt suspended in time. Then he exhaled. At the bottom of the breath, another pause appeared. Again, silence. Again, stillness. For the first time in his life, Daniel felt what the old man had described. A space where nothing moved, yet everything was possible. He whispered to himself, "In the gap, I am free." The old man pointed to the candle. "Look at the flame. It burns steadily, without rushing, without stopping. When you rest in the gap, you become like this flame, calm, steady, eternal." Daniel stared at the candle. Its flame did not hurry. It did not fear. It simply burned. He breathed again. Inhale, gap. Exhale, gap. With each pause, his heart felt lighter, his mind clearer. The old man's voice grew deep. "Daniel, listen carefully. The gap is not just stillness, it is a door. In that pause, your deepest intentions are heard by the universe. Not the desperate wishes of your mind, but the quiet truth of your soul." Daniel's eyes widened. "So, if I hold peace in the gap, I create peace?" The old man nodded. "Yes. If you carry anger, you create anger. If you carry love, you create love. The gap is creation's womb. Every breath gives you a choice." The old man gave Daniel another page for his notebook. On it were phrases: inhale, pause, exhale, pause. The gap is the space between breaths. In the gap, I am free. Silence is powerful. Stillness creates peace. I am calm like a flame. Daniel repeated them softly. breathing with each sentence. Inhale, pause. Exhale, pause. In the gap, I am free. The words felt alive because he was living them. Later that day, Daniel walked through the crowded streets once more. People hurried. Buses roared. Phones rang. Normally, all the noise would have filled his mind. But now, Daniel carried the gap inside him. When he felt stress rising, he inhaled. He paused. He exhaled. He paused. The city moved around him, but he felt like the candle flame. Steady, calm, untouched. That night, lying in bed, Daniel practiced again. Inhale, pause, exhale, pause. But when he rested in the pause, the thoughts disappeared, like dust in the wind. He felt himself floating in a vast silence. It was not empty. It was full of peace, full of possibility. And in that silence, Daniel whispered, "My life can change. I am ready." Sleep came softly, like a gift from the universe. In his dream, Daniel stood before a great golden door. The door was labeled The Gap. He touched the door. It opened silently. Inside, there was no noise, no fear, no time, only endless light and space. From that space, he felt love, peace, and courage flow into him. He realized this is where reality begins. Not outside, but here, in the silent gap. When he woke, his eyes were wet with tears, not of sadness, but of awe. Pause. A short stopgap. The space between two things. Sacred, holy, very special stillness. Complete quiet, no movement. Suspended, held in the air, not moving. Womb, the place where life begins, inside a mother's body. Awe, a deep feeling of wonder and respect. Daniel wrote in his notebook, "The gap is the most powerful space. In the gap I am free. Silence is not empty, it is full of creation." He closed his notebook, placed it on his chest, and breathed deeply. Inhale, pause. Exhale, pause. The rhythm of creation itself. Daniel smiled in the darkness. He was no longer just a student. He was becoming a creator. Several weeks had passed since Daniel first stepped into the breath house. He was no longer the same boy who couldn't sleep at 3 a.m., lost in shallow breathing and endless thoughts. Now, when he walked through the city, people noticed something different about him. His face was calmer. His eyes seemed brighter. His movements were slower, more peaceful. One of his classmates whispered to another, "Daniel has changed. He feels different, like he's glowing." Daniel didn't try to glow. He just breathed. But his breath was no longer shallow and anxious. It was deep, calm, and steady. One afternoon, Daniel entered the shop. The old man was waiting with a serious expression. "Daniel," he said, "you have learned to observe your breath. You have learned to observe your thoughts. You have entered the gap. Now comes the final lesson, awakening. Daniel leaned forward eagerly. What does that mean? The old man smiled gently. It means realizing that you are not only responsible for your own peace. Every breath you take changes the world around you. Your field of breath is a gift or a poison. You must choose. The old man raised his hands. Science has already discovered this. Your heart creates an electromagnetic field. It extends 8 feet around your body. Your breath changes that field. When your breathing is chaotic, your field is chaotic. When your breathing is calm, your field becomes harmony. Everyone near you feels it, even if they do not know why. Daniel remembered the angry man on the street who calmed down after Daniel breathed deeply. He remembered his little sister who stopped crying when he sat beside her and just breathed slowly. He whispered, "So, my breath can heal others." The old man nodded. Yes, and not just others. Your breath can heal the world. Every deep, peaceful breath is like a vote for harmony. Every shallow, anxious breath is like a vote for chaos. Which do you choose? Daniel placed his hand on his chest. I choose peace. The old man guided Daniel to close his eyes once more. Imagine you are a mountain, he said. Storms come, winds scream, rain falls. But the mountain does not move. It stays steady, still, silent. This is awakening to become the mountain of breath in the storm of life. Daniel inhaled, pause, exhaled, pause. Inside he felt like that mountain. The noise of the city, the chaos of people, the storms of emotions, they no longer controlled him. He was grounded. The next day, Daniel visited his university. His friends were nervous about exams. One was shaking. Another was crying. Normally, Daniel would have felt anxious too. But now, he sat with them and simply breathed deeply. Inhale, pause. Exhale, pause. Slowly, his friends began to calm down, without him saying a word. One asked, Daniel, why do I feel better just sitting with you? Daniel smiled. Because peace is contagious. That night, Daniel returned to his notebook for the last time. He wrote, My breath is my power. I am not my thoughts. I am the observer. The gap is creation's doorway. Stillness is not weakness. Stillness is power. Every breath I take can heal myself and others. He closed the notebook. He knew he no longer needed it. The lessons were inside him now. The old man had given him one final list of phrases. I choose peace. My breath is my power. I am calm like a mountain. Stillness is strength. Peace is contagious. Every breath creates my reality. Daniel repeated them slowly, one by one, breathing deeply with each sentence. That night, Daniel dreamed again. He was standing on a beach, watching the vast ocean. Waves rose and fell. The ocean was powerful, endless, eternal. Suddenly, he realized, I am not a small drop. I am the whole ocean breathing itself as me. He inhaled, and the waves rose. He exhaled, and the waves fell. In the gap, the ocean rested in silence. When he woke, he knew. This was awakening. From that day on, Daniel walked through life differently. He didn't try to control everything. He didn't fight every storm. He simply breathed, observed, and trusted the silence between breaths. And life began to change around him. Opportunities appeared. Conflicts dissolved. People felt calmer in his presence. Daniel realized that awakening was not about escaping the world. It was about living in the world as peace itself. Daniel's story is also your story. Every day you breathe about 23,000 times. Each breath can be shallow and anxious, or deep and peaceful. Each breath can write chaos or harmony into your reality. So ask yourself, how am I breathing right now? Am I rushing, or am I calm? Am I lost in clouds, or am I the sky? Am I fighting the storm, or am I the mountain? Remember, inhale, pause. Exhale, pause. In the gap, you are free. Electromagnetic field. Invisible energy around your body. Chaotic. Full of disorder and confusion. Grounded. Stable, calm, not easily moved. Contagious. Something that spreads easily to others. Ocean. A very large sea. Endless water. Eternal. Without end. Forever. Daniel stood once more at the door of the breath house. The old man looked at him with kind eyes. You no longer need me, the man said. The teacher is now inside you. Every breath will guide you. Daniel bowed his head. Thank you for everything. The old man smiled. Do not thank me. Thank your breath. Thank the observer within you. Thank the silence between breaths. That is where your power lives. Daniel stepped into the busy street. The noise was still there. The chaos was still there. But Daniel carried stillness inside him. He carried the gap. And with every breath, he created his reality. Key takeaway for the audience. Learning English is like learning to breathe. At first, it feels hard. Your mind is noisy. But if you observe, if you pause, if you stay calm, the language enters you naturally. So as you breathe with Daniel's story, you are not just learning words. You are learning a way of living.